I just saved hundreds of dollars by switching to Geico. I feel like I'm on top of the world.
Disclaimer, you will not be transported to the top of the world. In the unlikely event you find yourself at the Arctic Circle, seek shelter from the elements immediately to avoid frostbite and or hypothermia. Geico will not be responsible if you find yourself in a cave or crevasse with a lonely abominable snowman, who in all likelihood will force you to play games including but not limited to Go Fish, charades, Chinese checkers, or his personal favorite, Red Rover, send Yeti on over. Geico is not liable for any damages, either physical or emotional.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A. Good afternoon, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you on ESPN Radio, as I love to do every weekday. 250 plus markets across the United States of America, plus on Sirius XM, ESPN Radio, Channel 80. Number to call up as always is 888-729-3776. That's 888. Say ESPN. Got a jam-packed show coming your way today. Make no mistake about it. I will get into LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers having a 21-point lead in the first half and somehow losing by 18 points. The collapse has been epic. It's something we will talk about today. The Golden State Warriors have lost 3 of their last 4. They got blown out by Oklahoma City last night. We'll talk about the threats to the Golden State Warriors in the West. Are there legitimate threats? Or is it much ado about nothing because of the greatness of Durant, Steph Curry, and the crew? We will get into all of that. Kristaps Porzingis is down and out, torn ACL, left knee after a dunk. The Knicks season wasn't much to brag about anyway. It is officially over now. And as a result, where they go from here, that's something else we will talk about as the show progresses. And of course, I'll get into a little football talk about Malcolm Butler and, you know, what he said in a statement yesterday that obviously reverberates throughout the National Football League and beyond as far as I'm concerned. These are all things that we will talk about, that we will get into without question. But the first order of business is the job that Josh McDaniels has done on the Indianapolis Colts. I mean, I really don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say. I mean, this is a man that met with the Colts weeks ago. This is a man that gave every indication that he was going to be the next head coach for the Indianapolis Colts. A matter of fact, he was going to be the next head coach for the Indianapolis Colts. It was clear that he was their guy. It was clear that it was an agreement in place because there were assistants who were hired. Assistants who were hired that were handpicked by him. You got a defensive coordinator that was hired because of Josh McDaniels. His name is Matt, Eberflus? That's your defensive coordinator in Indianapolis. You got a defensive line coach in Mike Fair that was hired. You got an offensive line aide in Dave DeGuglielmo. He was hired. These are all individuals that were handpicked by Josh McDaniels. These are all individuals that, lucky for them, Chris Ballard of the Indianapolis Colts, the GM, who really came across as a stand-up guy this morning, said they're not going anywhere. We will honor our commitments to them. That is what we will do. But just weeks before the scouting combine, the NFL scouting combine, after weeks of everybody and their grandmother knowing that Josh McDaniels was supposed to be the next head coach of the Indianapolis Colts, he has a meeting with the Patriots, and yesterday the dude backed out. I mean, I don't even know what to say. I will say this. I want to see the team that interviews Josh McDaniels after this for a head coaching job. I was reading Manish Mehta's column in the New York Daily News today. He was right. He was absolutely right. There was nothing wrong about what he said. There was nothing wrong about what he said. You got to be kidding me. You going to interview for the job, accept the job, have the organization hire people for other jobs who will be working under you, and then back out and leave them all in the lurch. You didn't know the Colts were going to honor their contracts. You didn't know the Colts were going to take care of them. You didn't know that was going to transpire. You didn't know whether or not you had altered careers. But that's what Josh McDaniels did. That's certainly what he did. And you know what that means? You know what that brings into question? Why? Why exactly did he do this? Did he do it because Bill Belichick encouraged it, or did he do it because Mr. Robert Kraft has given him every indication that Bill Belichick is on the way out and Josh McDaniels would be the successor? And if indeed Robert Kraft did that, is it because of Robert Kraft or is it because of Tom Brady nudging Bill Belichick out the door? This is some interesting stuff, y'all. Bill Belichick has not had a good 48 hours. You lost a game you could have easily won. You are a former defensive coordinator who is at least a 2 to 3 time champion as a coordinator, who now has won 5 rings as a head coach, all of them with Tom Brady. And this same Tom Brady, who is age 40, who all indications point to you trying to push out the door because you were ready to roll with Jimmy Garoppolo. At age 40, just won league MVP honors and was in the Super Bowl and threw for over 500 yards. The New England Patriots losing this game certainly wasn't Tom Brady's fault. Certainly wasn't that offense's fault. It was a putrid, pathetic defense that was so bad for the New England Patriots, it's shocking that Matt Patricia was still named the head coach of the Detroit Lions. Because after that performance, one has to wonder whether or not the Lions should have rethought giving them the damn head coaching job. I mean, damn, I hire you. I want you to be the guy. And the Super Bowl takes place, and you give up over 500 yards of total offense. Why should I want you as a defensive coordinator? One game does not make a resume or a man, but damn. That's a big one. That's a big game. Now, if you're Matt Patricia, you have the perfect excuse. You said, look, at the very, very last minute, Bill Belichick had me playing backups. Eric Rowe, Jordan Richards, this guy Botomosi. And because he wanted to bench Malcolm Butler. And in the process of benching Malcolm Butler, what do? We're talking about off-field stuff. Late to practice or skipped the day, was sick, and had to fly in a day later and not be with the team and all of this other stuff. But Bill Belichick is swearing it wasn't a disciplinary issue. It was strictly a football-related matter. He felt other people gave him a chance to win. So the guy starts 15 or 16 games for you, plays 100% of the snaps against Tennessee, 100% of the snaps against Jacksonville in the AFC Championship game. But for the Super Bowl, suddenly he doesn't give you the best chance to win. Are we all boo-boo the fool? I mean, come on, y'all. We know better. Bill Belichick is full of it. And then after that, and after the heat came Bill Belichick's way and that of the New England Patriots, what are we hearing? Late to practice, didn't show up, was feeling ill, didn't practice well during the week. And oh, by the way, on top of it all, he might have been smoking some weed. Malcolm Butler saw all of those comments. He saw the reports. And that's why it's time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless, best phones, best networks, no contracts. Let me read to you what Malcolm Butler had to say in his statement. Quote, in each of my 4 years, we have achieved conference championships or Super Bowl victories since I arrived in New England. All of this would not be possible without thanking some of the best fans of the world who have supported me from day one and always let me know how much they appreciated me here in New England. During my 4-year career with the Patriots, I have always given it everything I have to play at a high level and would never do anything to hurt my team's chances of winning a game, including this year's Super Bowl, where I visited with my family every night. During Super Bowl week, I never attended any concert, I never missed curfew or participated in any of the ridiculous activities being reported. They are not only false but hurtful to me and my family. Although I wish I could have contributed more to help my team win, I have to get ready for the next opportunity. Moving forward, I will do what I have always done to work hard and prepare for next season to be the best I can be on and off the field. Finally, I want to apologize to any offended by my language reported immediately after the game during a very emotional time. It was out of character for me, and my character and heart, with God's help, is what got me to where I am today. I can't wait for 2018 season to get here. I will be ready. So this is Malcolm Butler categorically denying that he missed any curfews, that he attended a concert. And when he says I didn't engage in any of the ridiculous activities being reported, weed was one of them. Yet somehow, some way that comes out about him now, that the finger is being pointed at the Patriots organization for the boneheaded decision that was made to bench this man. Oh, my goodness. 888-729-3776. That's 888-SAY-ESPN. So much to talk about, so much to get into. I'm a person. I love and revere Mr. Robert Kraft. Everybody knows that. I'll never apologize for that. I think he's an upstanding individual and man. I think he might have helped contribute to backdooring the Indianapolis Colts, which you can or can't blame him for because they instigated the Deflategate. So what's good for the goose is good for the gander, I guess. But still in all, for Josh McDaniels to handle it like that, that's pretty bad. The other thing to take into consideration is this. If indeed Josh McDaniels is staying, and if indeed the reports are true that he's been promised to be the successor to Bill Belichick in New England, if indeed that is true, I have a simple question. What happened to the Rooney Rule? Isn't that a violation? I'm just asking. 888-SAY-ESPN. Your calls are more in a minute. Don't touch that dial. You're listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Some information on that Rooney Rule issue that I brought up, that I brought to the attention of everybody else in the event that Josh McDaniels is to be the next head coach for the New England Patriots. The Rooney Rule does have an exception as it pertains to interviewing minority candidates. That exception, that clear exception, is for firm commitments made to an in-house candidate in advance of the vacancy arising. So since Josh McDaniel would be an in-house candidate, if indeed Robert Kraft and the New England Patriots were willing to give him a firm commitment that he was the successor to Bill Belichick, there's no reason to go through the Rooney Rule process. Period. That is the deal. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. This is an absolute circus. It really, really is. And who better to bring on to discuss it than my man Carlton in Tampa? You're live with Stephen A. Take it away, Carlton.
I watch you every morning. I also DVR your competitors' program, so don't get bent out of shape here. But Shannon Sharp on Undisputed this morning said, that's a jack move. That's a sucker move. That's a slimy weasel Josh McDaniels move, and it's Bush League. And he went on to say that the Denver executives were shocked that McDaniels was allowed to ride the plane home from London after he got busted filming the 49ers practice. But, of course, when he did get home, the Bolin family fired him in the following week. And the reason why Josh McDaniels pulled another weasel move is because he has been guaranteed the head coaching job at the New England Patriots. And it is because of the Rooney Rule that it isn't contractually established. Because Kraft has made the decision to move on from Bill Belichick. There is an effective vacancy. And the reason why there's an effective vacancy is because Bill Belichick humiliated Malcolm Butler and then, through his media sock puppets, smeared the guy for 48 hours afterwards, and that is the straw that broke Robert Kraft's back.
So you believe, hold on, Carlton. What, if I'm deciphering what you're saying correctly, you believe essentially that Robert Kraft has had enough, and he has basically said, Josh McDaniels, you're going to be the next head coach of the New England Patriots. Bill Belichick is on his way out. I'm not tolerating this anymore. That's what you're saying.
It started when Bill Belichick threw Tom Brady, Robert Kraft's favorite son, under the bus for Bill Belichick's football deflation scandal, which was all about limiting turnovers. It proceeded to when Bill Belichick slimed Jamie Collins on the way out when he sent his keister mid-season to the Cleveland Browns. And what happened in the Super Bowl before 100 million fans was beyond the pale. He humiliated Malcolm Butler, and then he smeared him in the 48 hours after, all because Bill Belichick Malcolm Butler. He thinks he made Malcolm Butler, and Malcolm Butler would not kowtow to his below-market contract offer this past spring when Malcolm Butler was a restricted free agent. And Kraft is a classy guy. As much as I dislike Bill Belichick and I root against the Patriots, Robert Kraft is class personified, and this is a bridge too far. Humiliating and smearing one of your key players.
All right,
Carlton. A locker room revolt, Stephen.
Calm down, Carlton, because I said that yesterday. But my question to you is this. If you're going to say all of that and pontificate about all of that, how soon do you anticipate Josh McDaniels will be the next head coach for the New England Patriots? How soon do you do this?
I wouldn't be surprised if it's this year, but part of this whole, subterfuge, because they got to make it look like Bill Belichick is retiring. And if he retires right now, 2 days after he did what he did to Malcolm Butler, nobody's going to buy that he's retiring.
Bill Belichick is not going to retire. Bill Belichick is not going to retire. If John Gruden just got $100 million from the Oakland Raiders, could you imagine how much money Bill Belichick could get if somebody wanted to grab him? If he decides to lead the Patriots, he's not going to retire.
I'm not sure that much now. He just blew a Super Bowl because of
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Let me ask you this question, Carlton, and I can even ask you this with your Bill Belichick hating self. I can even ask you this. You trying to tell me that you wouldn't give Bill Belichick $100 million if John Gruden could get $100 million?
I wouldn't give him $5, Stephen A. My integrity is worth more. My integrity is worth more than that. I'm not going to own a team.
Okay,
if I'm a billionaire, I am not going to own a team that cheats.
Carlton, then if that's the case, we don't need to have this discussion because you're living in fantasy land. I'm not asking literally Carlton and Tampa. I'm saying if you're an owner out there in the National Football League and you're prioritizing winning football games, which you know they do, and they don't have the same moral upstanding tendencies that Carlton and Tampa has. If John Gruden got $100 million from somebody, what the hell you think Bill Belichick's going to get?
2/3 of the NFL owners would not touch Bill Belichick with a 10-foot
That's
pole.
A lie. That's a lie. That is a lie. That is a lie. You got your head in the sand. That is absolutely positively the most ignorant thing that has ever come out of your mouth.
Oh, you think the Steelers are going to go higher? You think the Steelers are going to go higher?
You said 2/3. Don't give me one. Hold on. Don't give me one or two teams. You gave me 2/3 of the league.
I said half the teams won't touch him with a 10-foot pole.
So in other words, 16 teams would not touch Bill Belichick.
That's correct.
All right. You know what, Carlton? I'm going to do you a favor because you're a brilliant caller. You're a great contributor to this show. I personally love you. I don't want to hear. Don't give me no soliloquies. Don't give me some dissertation. Name the teams right now. Give me 16 teams that wouldn't touch Bill Belichick.
Stephen, they have
right
to go
now.
through the owners, the owners and the ones who
right now
wanted Bill Belichick rung up for all his cheats.
Carlton, I don't care how much they hate him. They hate him because they don't have him. If he was available on an open market, who would it take?
Because they think he stole their title, Stephen A.
Carlton, and they still hired him. And they said, Carlton. All right, let's go down the list. So he stole a title from the St. Louis Rams when the greatest show on turf was there. He stole a title from the Carolina Panthers, according to you, when Jake Delhomme was their quarterback. All right. He lost twice to the Giants. He stole a title from the Philadelphia Eagles when Andy Reid was coaching. Okay, that's 3. But remember, again, he lost twice to the Giants. He lost to Seattle. I'm sorry, he beat Seattle. So he stole one from them. Okay. And then obviously now you're talking about 5 from last year when they beat Atlanta. I'm telling you right now, whether it was Quinn, whether it's Pete Carroll, whether it's Andy Reid, whether it's, Mike Martz in St. Louis, or whether it was John Fox in Carolina, every single one of those programs would have picked one of those franchises would pick Bill Belichick over those coaches.
You are literally out of your mind.
Oh, please. You know what, Carlton? I can't, listen, you don't, go ahead, Carlton. I'll give you the last word on this real quick. Go ahead.
Stephen A., he had over 41 videotapes of other teams' defensive signals. The entire AFC
I didn't dispute
has
that.
lost games to Bill Belichick because of
cheating. I didn't dispute that.
He was deflating footballs for 8 years, Stephen A. McNally was in that official.
And they'd still take them. Carlton. That's my point. They'd still take them.
The Bolin family fired Josh McDaniels the minute he got caught cheating. The minute He got caught cheating, Stephen A.
If John Elway could have Bill Belichick as his coach, he'd do it. You think he'd keep Vance Joseph?
Touch him with a 10-foot pole.
Okay. Have a nice day, Carlton. Take it easy. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Half the league wouldn't touch Bill Belichick. Five-time champion. Five-time champion as a head coach. Another 2 to 3 as a coordinator. They wouldn't touch Bill Belichick. Who the hell you fooling? Please. Every one of them will grab him. They ain't fooling anybody. Don't be fooled by let Bill Belichick go on the open market and watch how many teams come after him. Just let it happen.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it.
Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, is presented by Progressive Insurance. Drivers who switch to Progressive can save an average of $620. Looking at NFL Live on ESPN in my studio as we speak, the great Bill Polian, Hall of Fame executive. For many, many years, he was the executive in Indianapolis. Man that drafted Peyton Manning and what have you. Bill Polian was talking just now about how he agrees totally with Chris Ballard, the general manager for the Indianapolis coach right now. Ballard basically said, we move forward. We want somebody here who wants to be here, who's all in. If you ain't all in, we're moving on. It's just that simple. I don't need a dissertation. I don't need a bunch of explanations. Yes or no. Are you coming or not? That's what he said to Josh McDaniels. Josh McDaniels told him no. And that is that. That's their position. I would tell you that according to Dan Graciano, ESPN's Dan Graciano, he said Josh McDaniels' agent, Bob Lamont, was stunned Tuesday when Daniels informed him that he would not accept the Indianapolis coach job and instead would remain with the New England Patriots as offensive coordinator. Lamont, upon receiving a phone call from McDaniels, expected the call to be a question about preparation for Wednesday's scheduled news conference in Indianapolis, the source told Graciano. When McDaniels told him he was staying in New England, Lamont replied that McDaniels was, quote, committing professional suicide, end quote, according to the source. Lamont is also the agent for Coach GM Chris Ballard. Within the last few minutes, it has been revealed that agent Bob Lamont has cut ties with Josh McDaniels. He's terminated their contract with one another. Josh McDaniels is on his own. And so that's the situation right now. That's what we're dealing with as we speak. Josh McDaniels doesn't look good in all of this. You're the Indianapolis coach. It's cool. You get to move on. Why have somebody there as your head man that you don't want, that doesn't want to be there, that isn't all in? That's true, but it's not as simplistic as Bill Polian is trying to make it. The fact of the matter is you have to talk about this. I mean, this is some egregious stuff that just took place. To agree to take the job, to have the Indianapolis coach announce that you're taking the job, to then turn around and renege on that offer after knowing they hired several assistants that you asked them to hire. This is some bad stuff. That's incredibly unprofessional and low class. Josh McDaniels married. He's got 4 kids. Didn't want to leave the area. There was trepidation and all of this stuff. As Adam Schefter reported, we get all of that. But in the end, this is what it comes down to. It was egregious. There's no other way around it. Plain and simple. And we all know how I feel about the whole Malcolm Butler decision by Bill Belichick. Getting back to what Carlton said, I think Carlton is nuts. Half the league wouldn't want Bill Belichick. Oh, stop it. Please. They'll kick in his door to get him. Let's go to Don in Los Angeles. You're live with Stephen A. What's up, Don?
Stephen A., great show, great man, a great topic. I'm just loving this. But I'm kind of bummed, you know. I'm a Raiders fan, so I was happy to see New England lose. I think people should be talking more about, man, this is like the biggest upset since David took out Goliath. But people are crying about Malcolm Butler. Who gives a darn? If this hurt New England, I love it. The Germans call it Schadenfreude, I think, taking pleasure in the pain of others.
Hold it. Let me stop that. We all know the outcome. A lot of us were happy. I'm ecstatic that a city that I worked in for 17 years finally captured the Super Bowl championship. Don't get me wrong, but that doesn't mean you ignored the storyline. The fact of the matter is that one of the premier cornerbacks for you, who started every game but one over the last 3 years, okay, was benched. Started every snap, played every snap in the playoffs, got benched. And it wasn't told to him until they were about to start singing the national anthem. That's just pretty damn bad. There's a level of classlessness that comes along with that cannot be ignored. And that's what I'm saying. We all know that the story of, wow, what a great victory for the Philadelphia Eagles. A backup quarterback ends up being Super Bowl MVP, blah, blah, blah. We get all that. But you can't ignore that story, Don. Not that element of the story.
Oh, man, I'm happy.
I got you. Lost your signal, Don. I appreciate it. Larry in South Carolina, you're live with Stephen A. Go ahead.
Hey, Stephen A., how you doing, man?
I know you better get that damn noise out of my ear and start speaking in a fashion that our audience can hear you instead of hearing all that crackling.
Can you hear me now? I'm sorry.
Yes, go ahead.
Driving
speak.
down the road and
I don't need an explanation. Just go ahead and speak. Go ahead.
Hey, man, I was just listening earlier. I heard what Carlton was saying about about nobody would hire Bill Belichick. First of all, you're absolutely correct. You know, there's not hardly an owner in the NFL that would turn down that opportunity. And, you know, it's just like when a fan, you know, you got a player that plays for this team that they hate, and they hate that player, and then all of a sudden the player becomes available when he comes to your team, you love him. Hey, all of a sudden you don't hate him no more, you love him. It's pretty much the same thing. But I heard you saying earlier about the Rooney Rule and you know, as far as an assistant moving up to a job or getting, you know, named a head coach.
Yeah,
you know, I'm 100% in favor of the Rooney Rule. I mean, 100%. You know, I think everybody deserves an opportunity for a job. You know, going by their qualifications only. You know, and anything else shouldn't even be considered. I think as far as there's questions on every application in America that should be stricken from the application. That is race, age, and sex. I don't think those questions should be even asked on a job application because a lot of times that prevents the person from getting that face-to-face interview, which could always influence that employer. Hey, this person, you know, I'm glad I talked to him because he really sounds good, and I want to give him a shot. You know.
Okay.
Now, in the case of the Rooney Rule, there is one time when I think that it probably should not be considered, and that's in the case when you hire from within your own company. When you've got a person. Now, say maybe if... Well, that's what,
sir, I got to interrupt you because you're going on and on and on. I can't let you go on and on, but what I'm telling you is that that's the exception to the Rooney Rule. If you're hiring somebody in-house, then you don't have to go by the stipulations of the Rooney Rule. So that's what it is. I appreciate the call. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Back with your calls, plus conversations about LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Have y'all seen what is going on with this team? Good Lord have mercy. And Kristaps Porzingis is down for the New York Knicks. Everybody's talking about, oh, my goodness, how much does this set the Knicks back? And all I can think about is, when the hell were you forward? That's just me. But there's lots to talk about, so don't touch that dial. You're listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it! How deep is your love? Oh! Old jam by Keith Sweat. Spent all day thinking. Y'all wouldn't know anything about that, y'all young whippersnappers, but you need to. You need to learn it real quick, fast, and in a hurry, because remember, Valentine's Day is coming up. It's a week away, y'all. Just a week away. This year, be the one who wins Valentine's at 1-800-Flowers.com. Right now, you can get 18 pink and red enchanted roses for only $29.99. To order, go to 1-800-Flowers.com/ESPN. Remember, Love Doctor segment, hour number 2, coming up. It'll be on this show with yours truly, the Love Doctor, in the house, giving advice to the fellas and the ladies in the world of sports and beyond as Valentine's Day approaches. 1-800-Flowers loves that. Gonna keep it on through Valentine's Day. So feel free to call in to the Love Doctor. I ain't talking about myself. Meaning I don't practice what I preach, but I give pretty damn good advice. Just don't hold me accountable. Don't ask me to follow it. It will work for you. That doesn't mean it will work for me. Anyway, before I get back to the phones, switching to basketball for just a second or so. The Cleveland Cavaliers look like straight trash. They couldn't guard me right now. Their defense is that awful. Up 21 last night, lose by 18. We got LeBron James talking. We got Isaiah Thomas talking. We got Dwayne Wade talking. Y'all, do we have those sounds from all three? Because the people need to hear this. The people need to hear what LeBron James had to say last night. The people need to hear what Isaiah Thomas had to say last night. The people need to hear what Dwayne Wade had to say last night. It's really bad in Cleveland. They look horrible. And I got to admit to y'all, I don't give a damn what comes out of LeBron James' mouth. I don't know if Cleveland's going to the finals right now. Boston looked like they could beat them. Toronto looks like they could beat them. Toronto, which beat Boston last night, by the way. And if Boston stays the number 1 seed and Toronto ends up being a top 3 seed and so is Cleveland, then Toronto and Cleveland would meet in the semifinals. How much y'all want to make a bet Cleveland loses to them so LeBron and the Cavs don't have to worry about losing to Kyrie Irving? How much y'all want to make a bet? That's how bad it is right now. LeBron himself ain't scared of a damn soul. He's the best in the world, even though I do believe he's trying to be a bit too affectionate with Kevin Durant these days. A dude that's just as tall, if not taller than him, has a better jump shot that averaged 35 in the finals against him. Why he's hugging and singing Kumbaya to him just a little bit too much. But LeBron ain't scared of anybody. I just think that LeBron knows that his team is not good enough. His team is not good enough to beat the Warriors. That would mean 6 finals losses on LeBron's resume. I think the only thing that LeBron James doesn't want, he doesn't want, that's worse than that would be losing to Kyrie Irving. That's what I believe. Real quick, Jeff in Cleveland, you're live with Stephen A. Go ahead.
Hey, Stephen. I just want to say, first of all, I'm a big fan of yours, but I'm not going to give you a pass, Stephen, man. Like, sure. I'm from Cleveland, so it's like, it's really emotional for me. You know, LeBron and his antics. And,
well, let me say this to you. You're not going to give me a pass, but you only got a minute, so I need you to tell me what you're not going to give me a pass on.
For calling LeBron out on what he's been doing. The last time he was in Cleveland, he did the same thing. He wanted Jonas Ilgauskas to get paid, so Dan Gilbert paid him. He wanted Anderson Varejao to get paid, so he paid him. And then he turned around and said, well, this team ain't good enough. Well, we way over the salary cap now.
Wait a minute. Well, what are you holding me accountable for? What did I do?
With J.R. Smith and with Tristan Thompson. These the dudes you wanted. So now you got to rock with them and play ball.
Time out. I wanted them the year that they got the championship. You didn't hear me saying anything about them the past 2 years. I said that 2 years ago before they won a title. How you gonna call me up now? And how you gonna call me?
Didn't even want to pay him, but he paid him.
No, that's false. That's false. Dan Gilbert made a pledge to LeBron when LeBron arrived back in Cleveland. I will do what you asked me to do in terms of not worrying about the luxury tax and what have you. And Dan Gilbert has religiously had one of the top 2 payrolls in the entire NBA in all the years that LeBron has been back.
Absolutely.
So what is he supposed to do?
No, Steven. Why is he crying, man?
Because that's what LeBron does. That's what LeBron does. You know, passive aggressively, not directly. You understand? But passive aggressively, which is what I have called him out on. So actually, you have nothing to call me out on, Jeff. But good try, though. I appreciate it. And I appreciate you calling, and I appreciate you listening to the show. Feel free to call back in anytime you want to, my brother. Thank you so much. 888-729-3776. 888-SAY-ESPN. We'll get more into LeBron in hour number 2. More into Kevin Durant and what's going on with the Warriors in hour number 2. And we'll revisit the Patriots, Belichick, Butler, and more. McDaniels as well. Hour number 2 up next with Stephen A.
That's just a sample of what you'll hear on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.